Hey YouTube, this is going to be a quick video on Teamfight Tactics Set 3 Galaxies. I'm going to be talking about positioning, where you should put your units, where units are best placed at, their attack range, and kind of what they do. So right here you can see the board. I put the attack ranges for the tanks, which are 180, and generally people who can't attack more than one space away from them is 180. 420, they can attack one space, like, in between them. So they're a little bit ranged. 660, they kind of walk around a bit if you put them all the way in the back, but they can generally attack people from far away. And then there's like the 890, which are unique to only a couple champions. And then the 1130, which is sniper range. You can put them all the way in the back corner and they can hit people and they don't move at all. There's also a unique class called Infiltrators. They always jump to the back and they attack really fast and they do a lot of damage. They're good for hitting your opponent's like squishy targets. Squishy means that they don't have a lot of armor or magic resist or health, so they die quickly. So first we're going to start with Vanguard. Vanguards have a lot of armor and they have the lowest attack range. It's Poppy, Leona, what's his name? Astro Nautilus, Mordekaiser, Jace, and Wukong. All of these have very low attack range, but they have a lot of armor, which means that they're going to survive for a long time if your opponent isn't using any magic damage, or if they have little magic damage. They're really good to put all the way in the front so they keep the people behind them safe for a lot longer. Generally, good ways to survive and win in teamfight tactics is to have your damage carrier, or your person in the back or in the front, if the person in the front does the most damage, survive as long as he can so he can keep doing damage consistently and for a long time. Next up is Brawlers. Brawlers are like Vanguard, except instead of getting a lot of armor, they get a lot of health. There's only 5 of them, and they have low attack range except for Gnar. Gnar throws a boomerang at a 440 range, which means that he can be behind these guys and still attack people, but Gnar transforms for like his spell, and once he transforms he loses that bonus attack range and he's just punching people at like lowest range like everybody else. They're really good frontline because they have good health. So let's say you don't want to play Vanguard, and because let's say they're using a lot of magic, you can play Brawlers because they have a lot of health. It's really up to you and what you want to do. Ultimately, the game's all up to you. Protectors, they don't get armor and they don't get health like Vanguard or Brawlers, but they do get a shield based off their maximum health. And they're kind of not that good base. Base means with nothing on them, just like them themselves. If you give them items like health items, their shield gets bigger because their shield gets bigger based off their total health, and if you give them health, they get a bigger shield. So they're pretty good with items. I kind of like them. They're pretty decent. Next up is Mana Reaver. Mana Reaver aren't really frontliners. They're more like a unique group of people you can put into your team to make them stronger. They're not tanky. Tanky means they don't have a lot of health or armor, but they are like versatile. They kind of make it harder for your opponents to play. When they hit an opponent's champion, they kind of make it so your opponent can't cast their spells as quickly, which is really good if you want to slow your opponent down if they have a lot of spells, or if they have somebody who you don't want to use their spell right away. This is also really good for implementing in your team. You need 2 of them in order for the trait to activate. Next up is Blade Masters. Blade Masters generally have low range and they're not very tanky, but what they do is they have a lot of damage. And Blade Masters, when they attack, they have a chance of attacking again, and this can work off of itself. So if one attacks and then he hits that chance to attack again, he can hit that chance to attack again on top of that chance, and it can just snowball. It can just keep stacking and going off of each other. Blade Masters are generally good if you have one tank to protect them, because they're going to die really quickly if somebody's not absorbing all the damage. But they also do a lot of damage, so you can make them all strong and kill all your opponents quickly, so you can win that way. Next up is Infiltrators. Infiltrators are really unique in that they always jump to the back. No matter where you put them, no matter what, they always jump to the back. If you have more Infiltrators, they attack faster. That's a really cool thing about Infiltrators, is that If you have, let's say, a good frontline, brawlers, vanguard, protectors, somebody who's like gonna survive a little bit in the front, absorbing a lot of damage, infiltrators will jump to the back, do a lot of damage, and kill their strong people who are really weak. So infiltrators are really good in that aspect. Next up is Mystic. Mystic generally don't do a lot of damage except Cassiopeia, but instead of bringing damage to the team and making your team do that, they make your whole team have more magic resist. They also give them like small abilities, like Soraka will heal the whole team, Lulu will like stun 2 people, 3 if she's upgraded. Karma will like cast a shield 1 person. Bard will help you level up. Cassiopeia will do damage. She's the only one who does damage in Mystic. Mystic, I wouldn't recommend using in the beginning. In the beginning, I mean when you're low level. Maybe when you're level 7 or 8 or 9, maybe even 6, you can use Mystic. But generally, you shouldn't use them too early on. Plus, they're kind of hard to get. They're all like high in gold cost. They're like hard to get, whatever. They don't do damage, and you kind of need damage in the beginning. You can add them near the end to give your team more armor, magic resist, I should say, which is good. Sorcerers are one of my favorite comps. They still attack with attack damage, but every time they cast a spell, it hits hard. The more sorcerers you have, the more harder the spell hits. They're really good backline. There's only a couple good backlines in this set. Sorcerers are one of them. They provide your team with all of your team bonus magic, which helps because some of your teammates, like your tanks, they kind of scale with magic as they get a bigger shield or like, I mean, they do more damage or whatever. But sorcerers are really good for putting in the back. Like usually always in the back. Annie's kind of the exception as she has very low range. At 420, she can attack people from a little bit far away, like 1 space away, but she's kind of better in the front because when she casts, she gets a big shield. So it kind of makes her like tanky. Next up are blasters. Blasters are kind of like Blade Master in that they hit a lot, you know, they do a lot of damage. They have very low defense, low health. They don't survive very long unless you give them defensive items, which I wouldn't recommend. Because the thing about blasters is that, like, every couple of shots, they'll hit everybody. And there's items in the game where you have a percentage chance if you hit somebody to do something. Let's say you have a percentage chance to, like, make them not be able to attack. Blasters are good with that item because when you hit them, you have a more percent chance to hit everybody because they hit everybody. If that made any sense. They do very good damage. They're very good in the back. A popular team comp is putting brawlers in the front because brawlers have a lot of health, and blasters in the back. And blasters will be your main damage on the team. So you want to try to like protect them as much as you can. Like try to figure out a way where they're always the last person surviving. Same goes with snipers. Snipers are really unique in that they only hit 1 target, unlike blasters who hit like multiple people. But snipers do more damage the further they are away from people, which is really good. And like that damage adds up really quick, but they're also really squishy. They die easy. So with snipers, you kind of want to always put them in the back line, always in the back, because the further they are away from somebody, the more damage they do. And you want to try to protect them as best as you can. You want to make sure that they're the last people surviving. So generally put them in the back or just figure out a way where they're the last person surviving. They do a lot of damage. They're very good backline. That's all the people I'm going to include in this video. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped. Bye.